Canucks lose to the Senators by a whole bunch of goals. Canucks, obviously not a great team going into the season. Obviously missing Pettersson and more. Obviously have just gone through COVID and now have an extremely condensed schedule. So we were going to see games like this. And Ottawa is not a team you want to go up against when you're tired because they are young and energetic. They're coached very well and coached to play a tenacious style. And they're really starting to gel. I mean, like I said last time, they moved out Goodbranson. Who's that guy? Connor Paul? That guy was bloody everywhere. They got Dzingel, Stutzel, Kachuk. Norris is looking good. They've got enough guys who are going and are young and are hungry and are clicking. And Shabbat is just a workhorse on D. Their goaltending sucks, but the Canucks just really couldn't get anything dangerous together. I mean, it's not like when they played Toronto, and Toronto just lacked a killer instinct. When the Canucks beat Toronto, it felt like when Toronto was up a goal or two, they didn't want to put it away. They looked like they were playing gingerly. Ottawa is looking to win as many games as possible down the stretch. They don't care about the playoffs. What they care about is they don't want to be considered a bunch of losers anymore. And they're trying to pass that mantle on to Vancouver. Ottawa scores early, goes up 1-0. Ottawa just passes a nice transition to the neutral zone center. Myers pushes ahead while the puck is coming towards him to the Ottawa Senators' left wing at the same time. He immediately realizes this is a mistake and tries to double back, but he's too slow. Levy way too far over, covering Ottawa's right wing. This allows Mete to just blitz through the gigantic center hole and score right off the bat. After that, Horvat and Höglander had a great shift, but Highmore couldn't do anything with an in-front pass, And that's what's going to happen. Like when you're lacking depth and you've got 2 out of the 3 guys that are high skill, top 6 players, and they're creating something, but they don't have that finisher there in front, like a Toffoli or a Pearson. Kachuk flips Sutter into the Canucks boards. Zach hits him hard back and shoves him. They drop the gloves, and Kachuk really smartly just sort of pushes Zach into the boards and down to look like he won the fight, but not actually have to throw or take any punches. Both of them get 5 minutes, which is actually a pretty great trade-off for the Canucks to have Zach McEwen, who's a fourth liner or sometimes sitting, and Kachuk, Ottawa's best player, sitting on the bench for 5 minutes. Ottawa. Let's see here. This Ottawa chump, Pinto, charges Howard Luck into the boards from behind and gets a penalty, and he's sitting there doing that bullshit where they look up at the camera, they look up at the replay, and they shake their head. And it's like Cheech was saying as well on the commentary, how that's John Garrett, if you're not a Canucks fan, the color man next to John Shorthouse, saying, what are you doing shaking your head? That was a really dangerous play. You didn't need to do that. That's exactly what they're trying to get out. The guy you saw his numbers, he was bent over. The puck was right there. You could have just stopped and went after it, and you put all your momentum into the guy and just bumped him basically head fucking first into the boards. You're lucky that he didn't break his fucking neck. You idiot. This is why Pintos have a bad name. Demko played pretty well. I mean, you look at the score, but he didn't really let in anything that wasn't a rebound or just like a wide open chance. The Canucks power play really struggled on the first power play they had. The first unit sucked. Myers' unit had better luck. Myers, I obviously pick on the guy for his defense, but offensively, he's great. He's a fast skater. He's like out skating some of the Canucks forwards in this game. It's hilarious. And he has a killer instinct, and he wants to win too. He has good leadership, and he can shoot. He scored a goal tonight. Schmid had a great read to intercept a cross-ice slot pass. Schmid has some high-profile fumbles, but that's because this team is just playing terribly and are lacking depth, and I'm going to cut them a ton of slack because of everything they're going through this season. But there are a lot of little things Schmidt does that people don't talk about because they don't notice. Actually, I do rewind that play and look at it a few times because I couldn't actually see his numbers, but I could tell because it was Edler was on the ice, and then Schmidt was over on the right side, but he was left-handed. So must have been him. First intermission, even though the Canucks didn't play well, 2 local guys had a great night tonight. Halford and Bruff, 2 of my favorite personalities on Vancouver Sports Radio, made their television debut. Well, not debut. well, maybe Sportsnet television debut. And when I first saw the image, I thought, whoa, there's Mike Halford with the long, wild hair. And Bruff, it looks like he had kind of a bushy self haircut. And they looked a bit awkward. Mike's left hand was kind of hanging out by his crotch. Not a great look, but other than their initial first impression, I thought they actually did pretty well. I think they felt really genuine. I thought they were funny. I thought they had actual personality rather than just sort of spouting off a predetermined rant from a teleprompter. I mean, I'm not surprised because they've been doing so well on the radio this whole time, but TV is really difficult to adjust to, so I was proud of those guys. After that, we had a wild second period. Ottawa scored early to make it 2-0. The Canucks were just struggling to get out of their zone, chasing disconnected passes. They were discombobulated. They failed several times to get the puck out when they had the possession. They looked tired and they looked unfocused, and Ottawa was pouncing on them. You have to expect this with the schedule and the COVID outbreak. But right after that, Ottawa scored again. This time Miller, with no pressure, behind the Canucks net, terrible backhanded pass up the middle, and he slowly chases after it, and Ottawa scores. Ottawa is confident enough that you give them a chance, they're going to punish you for it. Later on, though, McEwen had some great board work. He tried to get the puck out, but it was Sutter and probably Howard Luck on the line, so they're not going to get anything done there. But man, I thought McEwen had a pretty good game. Canucks did score shortly after that to make it 3-1. Ottawa was buzzing when they went up 3-0, and it looked like the Canucks were overwhelmed, and I thought, oh boy, I think this game's over. And then Horvat, Höglander, and Tanner Pearson dominate down low. Höglander lost his stick, and he still ended up intercepting a pass right after he picked his stick up. He's so smart about anticipating where the play is going to go. Myers ends up with the goal. The guy can shoot. He is useful. I don't think anybody who criticizes Myers would mind if he was making $4 million because of his offensive abilities, his, veteran mentality, poise. It's just it's the defense and being slow. But he can shoot, and he scores meaningful goals. This is when the Canucks needed a goal. However, Ottawa quickly struck back, making a 4-1. The Canucks at the time were gaining confidence, but Hughes loses the puck deep in the Ottawa end. Ottawa counterattacks. Great save by Demko, but a rebound goes out to Ottawa, and right on in. Man, just like every time the Canucks thought that they were just about to figure it out, Ottawa would come back. But while the obnoxious Ottawa announcer, I've been to Senators games, oh my God, it's so irritating. Ottawa goal, scored by number 42. And then they have to do it all in French as well. So before he could even get to the bilingual French part, the Canucks score, making it 4-2. Mott with a great move in center ice, dumps it in. Then he beats everybody to the puck, steals it from Hogberg, centers it to both Miller and Jake. Jake steals Miller's goal by getting his stick in front of it. That's 5 goals, I think, in the first half of that second period. Both teams look fired up by the goals. There are a lot of big hits and retaliation. The teams are really pissed off against each other. The Canucks want to win desperately, and Ottawa also does. I mean, NHL players, for the most part, especially the young ones, man, they don't want to fucking lose. They want to win. Levy had a nice big hit behind the Canucks net. He's become the physical presence on his D pairing, even though the guy he plays with is the 7-foot-tall Tyler Myers. But Levy, man, I thought he played great today. He had some rough passes, okay. But he's young. He's figuring it out. And the team is in a bad spot. So everybody's going to make bad passes. Look, Miller's making bad passes. Hughes is making bad passes. Everybody. So I'm going to cut Levy some slack. And just note that he made big hits. He made some good defensive plays. He made a lot of great passes. And he's still learning. But I think he's going to be a fixture on that top 4 for years to come. Connor Brown was just... Is that his name, Connor Brown? Or Paul? Was everywhere for Ottawa. Just, you heard his name constantly, grabbing the puck, looking dangerous, making things happen. The Senators just looked excited at this point in the game to get the puck up and down the ice in transition and get their forecheck going, whereas the Canucks started to look really shaky and nervous. Pearson. I want to talk about Pearson. He does a lot of things where you don't get points, and you don't even get analytical points for it. Although, to be honest, I don't know a lot about analytics. All I know is that there was an analytic that said Adam Gaudette was great, and I've watched every single Canucks game this year, and Adam Gaudette has been awful in terms of possession and doing anything smart with the puck. But Pearson, baby, Pearson. He starts the zone entry for the Canucks with physicality and good passes. Horvat has possession because of Pearson. He almost gets a slot pass over to Höglander, which doesn't work, but was started by Pearson and made possible by him. Now Pearson all of a sudden is on the opposite side of the offensive zone, and he muscles the Senator off the puck, and he gets the puck back to the Canucks D for a line change. Like, that stuff is incredibly important. The team that can go in, get some offense going, keep the puck, and then do a line change is a team that is getting some momentum and is probably going to get the next goal. I don't know if they did. No, they didn't, because Tkachuk had a terrible fucking breakaway. But that's the kind of stuff that where you wouldn't get a point necessarily, and you probably don't get an analytic tick for that, although there's a lot of different analytics, and like I said, I don't know a lot about him, but I just love Pearson, man. He's great. I'm glad the Canucks re-signed him, even for that money. Yeah, they could have got him down to 2.5. I would have been really happy, but he got 3, so good for Pearson. The Canucks did have a few consecutive strong shifts after that. Pearson won with another great shift by Horvat, and then Tkachuk gets a breakaway when Dzingel just runs off the ice like Jake Virtanen halfway through. Ottawa has possession. Tkachuk's all alone. Gets a breakaway. Scores. It's 5-2. To end the second period, a stick is stuck in the wall behind the Senators' net. The refs just leave it there for some reason. It ends up touching the puck more times near the net than Virtanen could ever dream of. I could just see Travis Green looking longingly at that stick. How many significant touches it had by the neck. Oh, my God. Jake, take your stick close to the net like that one. Second intermission with Bruff and Halford. Mike is starting to look very comfortable. He's removed his left hand from his crotch area, and now he's just leaning on the counter like a teenager working at a 7-Eleven. The guys do a great job of bringing their regular radio banter to TV. Bruff at one point stopped looking at the camera for the entire last half of their segment, but he does a really good job of getting his points across. Halford looks like he's ready to just move in and start sleeping on the couch and eating the leftovers in the fridge. And he also might need to replace the microphone cord as he was leaning that pretty hard on the table. If I was a sound engineer, I'd be giving him the signal, pick up the mic. But I also wouldn't want to mess with his mojo. So another great job by those guys. Way to go, boys, who are 40. Third period, not much to start. Canucks take a tripping penalty. They take a too many men penalty. Hamonic and Paul fight. Paul takes off his own helmet and takes the penalty for it. Hughes and Demko fuck up on that power play, and Ottawa gets a huge chance. Ottawa gets a whole bunch of odd man rush chances while killing the penalty. It's just the Canucks had given up by that point. They had nothing left, and Ottawa was just on a roll. Canucks pulled their goalie with 7 minutes left, down 5-2. They get an icing, but put him back in for the face-off. Demko, that is. They pull him again with over 5 minutes left, and Ottawa scores from right in front of their own net to make it 6-2. It's actually a really nice shot. Garbage time, less than 3 minutes left. Sutter just throws in a bad goal. Hogberg's not that good. If only they got more shots earlier. 6-3, 2 minutes and 17 seconds left. There's a tiny sliver of hope that could this just be a hilarious collapse that sinks Hogberg's career? Maybe if it was the Leafs, but it was the Senators tonight. The best team in Ontario beat the Canucks. Thank you very much for listening. What did you think?